Hi guys, welcome back. Gonna read a little bit about Joe Biden and then I will show you a few pictures. I'm not affiliated with any party, Democrat or Republican, and I'm not saying anything specifically to label Joe Biden at all. I'm just reading some things and you can make your own conclusions and do your own research. I will leave all the links in the description box. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. He was born November 20th, 1942. As you know, he is a presidential candidate and a vice president of the United States of America from 2009 to 2017. His early life, he was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, to Eugenia Jean Biden, her maiden name is Finnegan, and Joseph Robinette Biden Sr., the first of 4 siblings in a Catholic family. Here's a picture of him at age 10 in 1953. His father was initially wealthy but had suffered several financial setbacks. For several years, the family had to live with Biden's maternal grandparents, the Finnegans. When the Scranton area fell into economic decline during the 50s, Biden's father could not find sustained work. In 1953, the Bidens moved into an apartment in Clayton, Delaware, where they lived for several years, and then they moved to Wilmington, Delaware. Joe Biden Sr. later became a successful used car salesman, maintaining the family's middle-class lifestyle. He earned his bachelor's degree in 1965 from the University of Delaware with a double major in history and political science. He graduated with a C average, ranked 506th of 688 in his graduating class. Now, my husband told me a story of John McCain, who was ridiculed because he graduated almost at the bottom of his Naval Academy class, and I think he said something, Mr. McCain, said, well, if I had graduated at the bottom, I would have got to meet the vice president. So, this Mr. Biden only graduated with a C average. He did play halfback for the Fightin' Blue Hens freshman football team and defensive back for the varsity. He has a stutter, which was more prominent in his childhood and his early 20s. He said he has helped to reduce it by spending many hours reciting poetry in front of a mirror. But it sometimes resurfaces, he says, on occasions such as when he's tired. He did marry his wife, Nelia Hunter. They overcame her parents' reluctance for her to wed a Roman Catholic, and the ceremony was held in a Catholic church in New York. They have 3 children, Joseph R. Bo Biden, Robert Hunter, and Naomi Christina. And he had a goal to become a senator by the age of 30 and then president. So he told his wife. During his first year at Syracuse, Biden was accused of plagiarizing 5 of 15 pages of a law review article. He said it was inadvertent and he did not know the proper rules of citation. As a result, he failed the course and had to retake it. The plagiarism incident resurfaced in 1987 during his first run for president. He also received student draft deferments after he completed his studies. The Selective Service System classified him as unavailable for service due to a history of asthma. And I want to just go over to the allegations of inappropriate physical contact. Biden has been accused of inappropriate contact with women at public events such as embracing, kissing, gripping, or placing a hand on their shoulder. He He has described himself as a tactile politician and admitted this behavior has caused trouble for him in the past. In March of 2019, former Nevada Assemblywoman Lucy Flores alleged that Biden had touched her without her consent, and he had walked up behind her, put his hand on her shoulder, smelled her hair, and kissed the back of her head, adding that the way he touched her was an intimate way reserved for close friends, family, or romantic partners. And I felt powerless to do anything about it, she said. So now I'm going to go over to Gematria, and I'm going to show you that Joe Biden is 9s in 13 of the 24 ciphers that are listed here. So I usually just use the 4 base ciphers. I am a beginner, but I like to go with the ultimate reduction, which are 9s. And now I'm going to type in another word, which, you know, they're saying he is sniffing the hair of children. And I'm going to show you a few pictures after this. So sniff is all 9s again, all the way across. A couple different numbers, but it totally reduces to 9. And then I'm going to show you the P word, which I won't say because I don't know if we can say it, but it's a word in the dictionary, so I don't see why we wouldn't be allowed to say it. But the P word, again, is all 9s. Now remember, there's good and bad in everything, and the word love is all 9s also, if you've watched any of my videos. So this is how I roll. I like to look for the words for the 9 because 9 is completion. 9 represents, you know, most of what's happened. Like if you condensed a story into one capsule, 9 is at the end. 9's the highest number of the single digits, so it's the completion. So I'm going to talk about something that I discussed with a naturopathic physician that I had known. And I told her about a man in my family who used to be inappropriate. Like he would do the same thing. He would come up to the children, mostly the girls, and look at their breast or like hug them or put their arm real tight, like real firm, and put his face close to your face. And no one would ever say anything. I mean, this was back a long time ago. And then we found out later that my cousin had been raped by him when she was 6 years old. And she didn't remember it till she was in college when she was taking a class, and the entire class was apparently hypnotized, and this memory resurfaced, and she had a breakdown, and I'm sure it was very traumatic because when you're 6 years old, if you're not understanding what it's like to be molested, then I think you need maybe to read about it, because this behavior is just like what Joe Biden does, and it's very upsetting. As a parent, you better be careful if anyone is acting like that, because they might take it further, as what this man did. And he never went to jail, never was actually charged with anything. I'm not sure if anybody actually confronted him ever. So he did wind up raping, you know, the 6-year-old. And that's devastating, because your space is so violated and they just can't help themselves. I mean, they do this behavior in front of people like they don't think there's anything wrong. So the naturopathic physician that I had a conversation, I told her about a couple incidents with this person, the man that I knew, and she claimed that there's an inherited form of syphilis, and she said sometimes when men go away to war, they might seek the services of a prostitute, they might get syphilis, and then it's actually passed down to the children. Now, she claimed it was passed down through generations, but according to the article that I'm going to read, I don't see that it's actually passed down through the generations, but it can be passed from the father to the child, not just the mother, because here it is. It says, While it is certain that either parent may be responsible for transmitting the disease to the next generation, the method of transmission is not known. In the case of a syphilitic mother, it is most probable that the infection is conveyed to the fetus by the placental circulation. In the case of a syphilitic father, it's commonly believed that the infection is conveyed to the ovum through the seminal fluid at the moment of conception. If a series of children, one after the other, suffer from inherited syphilis, it is almost invariably the case that the mother has been infected. So that would be the acquired form of syphilis. In contrast to the acquired form, inherited syphilis is remarkable for the absence of any primary stage, the infection being a general one from the onset. And it goes on, and I'll leave all the links to what I'm reading. Now, there is the other little part of the syphilis causing a mental illness, some forms of psychosis, dementia, and the personality disorder. 30% of untreated syphilis patients develop neurosyphilis. Syphilitic infection of the central nervous system can occur early or late in the course of the disease. Neurosyphilis mimics many other medical and neuropsychiatric disorders, including personality disorders, psychosis, and dementia. Dementia is the most common presentation of neurosyphilis in psychiatry. This information is from neuropsychiatryonline.org. I'll leave the link in the description box. It's really, really upsetting because it's very apparent, and that's what you need to look for in people for any kind of a behavior that you find disturbing, that there might be something else going on. And I'm not saying anything personal about Joe Biden, but I do find the behavior a little strange, and it does upset me knowing how close it became with, a molester in my own family, and that person has died now. So I just thought you might want to know a little bit about Joe Biden, that we don't normally just go read about someone that's running for president, but myself, I wouldn't vote for him just for that, because it's serious. I mean, it's a big thing now when you're exposed. People are going to jail, and people are speaking up now because no one in my family spoke up, and I'm really sad because they had witnessed some really odd behavior and no one confronted the man. And I don't know, where were all the dads? Where was my dad? Where was my mother? Why didn't they say something? They definitely witnessed some of the behavior, and I guess that's what people did back then. But we need to all not be afraid to speak up, and I think in some of the pictures that I've shown you in the video, the still pictures, that I'm sure some of the people, because he is politically, he's the highest, he might be the president in a month, and he might get elected on November 3rd. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think some of these people should have said, just keep, oh, you don't even have to really confront anybody. You just need to maybe perhaps be nice and say, please keep your distance with my daughter. I think she feels uncomfortable. And then usually someone will maybe back off a little bit, because he said he was a tactile politician and he's giving himself an excuse when he's really saying, I have a problem here. And he did have a couple aneurysms, and maybe he's just not functioning like he should. I'm not sure, because it did say in this article also that they weren't sure if he was going to fully recover. So here he is as 10-year-old, and here's the last picture of him. And I wish you luck in the election, guys. And I hope you'll come back again. I really appreciate you all watching my videos, and I will see you next time.